If you think you know fashion history, can you tell me when this dress was from?
Okay, so I'm supposed to be editing photos, but I came across this video. I paused it and stitched it at this point because this, if you think you know fashion history, can you tell where this dress is from? And I think I know. I'm gonna break it down. So at first look, it would look like an 18th century dress. Basically based on the silhouette itself. However, don't think it's 18th century. Mainly because of the print of the fabric. There are some like very particular prints that were made common during the 18th century, and I can't remember the name of the damn thing right now, but if you go to like the Colonial Williamsburg website, or Burnley and Trowbridge, that website, you'll see the reproduction prints. These flowers and whatnot are just slightly too big. Secondly, the bodice, boop, right there. 18th century gowns, like either depending on the gown. So, if you had a robe à la Francois, whatever, you had a stomacher, which is like the diamond shaped thing that gets pinned to your set of stays, and then the gown itself, the robe of it, gets put on over that and pinned to the stomacher. Think of Queen Charlotte, basically. Okay, if it was not a robe a la Francois or like a robe a la Anglaise or a robe a la Polonaise, I can't pronounce it. Even though I went to France, I still can't pronounce shit. You would still have like a similar shape, but it would be pinned together. Like one side would be slightly overlapped so that you could close it, pin that first side, and then pin the other side to it. So that's that. Getting on beyond that, I wish I could, I don't know how to make that bigger, but it looks like it has ruffled trim along the entire neckline, which is not necessarily out of style. Like, I mean, it wouldn't be like horrible, but that trim, like the way that trim is, just doesn't fit right. But also, if you look at the stitching, well, my finger is there. If you look at the stitching of the bodice, the way that it is constructed, that looks like a 1840s to 1850s, probably 1860s, basically the Romantic era, before you get into like the transition into Victorian, because those bodices, the way they were made is structurally the seam lines are in the front and then they come to a exaggerated point. That's an important part also. The exaggerated point, boom, exaggerated. And for these kind of gowns, you had to wear a certain type of corset because you went from, like, let's say 18th century stays, or pop the girls up and whatnot, but they pretty much stopped right like before your hip bone. This point right here, you would have to have a corset that had a busk in it to keep it straight so that you kind of sat up like that, and that's why that is there. I'm also gonna say based on the hips, because typically, depending on 18th century and what social position you were in, or even just the event itself, you wear either like a crescent moon kind of bum pad, like it's called a false rump, but you will wear a crescent moon sort of bump pad, even maybe what's it called, a hip pad, but it wouldn't be that pronounced, like from the hips and the butt. Um, yeah. So I'm gonna pause this and then I'm gonna put it in drafts. Actually, no, I'm gonna publish this and then go watch the actual video, or duet the video. There we go. I'm gonna publish this and then I'm gonna duet the video back again and see if I was correct. So, like I said, I'm feeling that this is a Romantic era period, 1830s through the 1850s, before we get into what is more recognizable as Victorian. Yeah, so let's see.